Alrighty then, welcome back to another J&J Monday on a Sunday. J77, and as you notice, I'm by myself here. Josh again still with family members. He's doing also something else, like pretty much a makeup podcast. So she won't be with us today. That's one of the reasons why I can actually do this broadcast a little early than usual. Let's face it, it's way early. It's pretty much in my time, 8 o'clock in the morning, and just been done. I got to do one thing. Uh, just plug in this baby here because I'm running low on power. Um, and there we go. So um, basically, I don't really do this live podcast live like this, but because we didn't have a show for the last 2 weeks because of one, I was doing something during the weekend that needed to be done. Josh Kim was away, and she was pretty much with family the whole weekend, and she's still with loved ones now. Only she's pretty much still able to do certain things, but not within the show. I decided to hold off for a few weeks, but I wasn't going to do it 3 weeks in a row. I wanted to get something going, and I decided to go on a topic that really caught my attention a while back. It was something that was brought on Yahoo's main page. Someone had did a personal articles of books, great books that were turned into bad movies, and this is something that it's a personal list, so I don't have anything bad to say about it. But there was a few that I remember that I just agree and disagree with, and for a lot of reasons. One of them is actually here, and I'll show you. I have the list of it in my own personal book log right here that I normally keep in case. But there was some I actually remember that stuck out for me. Um, they didn't do a top 10 list, but pretty much an 8 or 9 list. I remember seven of those. One that definitely stuck out. The Golden Compass was one they mentioned. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Breakfast at Tiffany, which I'm still surprised they actually put that on the list. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. The Watchmen. The Great Gatsby. And one I never even heard about until they actually put on the list. As I Lay Dying. So these are the things that they said that were great books that was turned into bad movies. Now, here's the thing about this, okay? Again, when it comes to this thing, it's an opinion. Do I agree with some of the stuff they said? Only a certain select few, not all. For instance, I agree that the Grinch, that the live version, not the cartoon version, but the live version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas definitely belongs in that application. Pretty much most of the live versions of Dr. Seuss's work, with probably the exception of probably the Lorax, because I know the Lorax did not uh, do well with diehard fans of the book, as well as even just fans of the moviegoers in general. But most of Dr. Seuss's work that was done in live animation can actually be put on that list, hands down. Like, I'm surprised they didn't mention Cat in the Hats. I was kind of, either they didn't see it, or either that person who wrote the list didn't think it was that bad as the Grinch. I thought the Grinch was not a good movie, but I thought the Cat in the Hat was far worse. But again, there's a reason why for this, because if you read Dr. Seuss's books, I don't consider them uh, a big. It's not something you can actually adapt well as a live action film. You can adapt it fine as an animated film. In fact, I think it works 10 times better as an animation film, mostly than a live action film. Now, granted, it doesn't always work out that way. The Lorax seems to be the one that sticks out the most. But I thought Christmas count. I thought that the Chris Stole Christmas special was actually very, very good. I thought it was well done. It got right straight to the point. I thought it had a lot of stuff that it can offer. The live version, not so much. I really was stunned at how they completely dropped the ball on that one. Um, I kind of had. I don't get it. I'm sorry. It's one of those films that maybe it works well for the younger group. I admit it. I know they target audience, but I liked the book, and Here's the funny thing: before it was a movie, it was a play, and that didn't last long in Broadway either. This was a Broadway musical, and it just completely folded, and the movie didn't do too very well. This is where Mike Myers' career really started sinking down. So I would definitely would have put that on the list, um, deservingly so, alongside with the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But again, and this is where I'm going to get at with this whole entire book to movie thing that people got to be careful with. I never really felt that a live action film would vote well for any of Dr. Seuss's work because it's so unique and even so complex that it doesn't fit well for a live action film because it will never be translated right. And that's the key word. A lot of the books they make into movies don't really translate well, especially when you have to make so many changes. It's simply unavoidable. You have to make changes to the book order to meet the needs of what is going to be put on the big screen. You can't really follow the same thing word for word in the book. It's just not possible. The one I also can understand is Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. However, I do want to say this about that because I understand when I read the article why they put that there. I never thought for 1 minute that was the original version. In fact, it's not. When I saw it, I realized this is not the original Alice in Wonderland adaptation, but more of a continuing adventure. In fact, it should have been called Alice in Wonderland 3 because that's exactly what it was. We just had Alice in Wonderland when the reality is she was already in Wonderland. She just made a return to Wonderland. She just didn't remember much of Wonderland, and that's how it just left off. So to me, why did they call it Alice in Wonderland? Well, they could have said the continuous adventures of Alice in Wonderland or something that represent that this is not really based on a novel. And that was Tim Burton's biggest mistake. And I saw this film and said, this is not the Alice in Wonderland that I think people is going to expect because it's really not the original book. Even though there were some things that paid homage to the original book, it wasn't based on the original book. And I think that would hurt this film more than anything else. Personally, I thought the film was okay. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I thought some of the visuals were stunning, and I think it fits well with Tim Burton's style. I just think that he went a little overboard with certain things that I was kind of surprised that still made the PG rating. But I thought he did a fine job. I thought he did okay. It wasn't great, but it definitely wasn't Sleepy Hollow. I thought Sleepy Hollow. Um, I never got into Sleepy Hollow, and I'm kind of surprised that was not in the list of bad adaptations towards the book. But then again, it's an acquired taste. Some people did like it, some people don't. I don't see how. I understand why it's there, but to me, it's hard for me to put it there when I didn't consider it to be that bad of a movie. Great Gatsby was mentioned. That's something surprising considering the book itself was not a big hit. It was only till afterwards when the book started picking up. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I saw the original movie, didn't like it. But then I talking about the original movie, kind of surprising. Talking about the actual remake with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I seen it. Wasn't a big fan of that one either. Do I consider it the worst adaptation? I think they did as much as they can to keep faithful to what the source material was. But again, they made some changes, and the changes was unlike the other one where it was more dramatic. This one just focused a lot on the 3D elements. You can tell just by seeing the trailer that they was going to do a lot of crazy stuff, which scratched my head a little bit about what they were shooting for. But like I said, wasn't really a fan of the first movie, so maybe it's one of those quiet tastes. Um, As I Lay Dying is another film that was mentioned. I never seen the film, didn't even know about the book, so I can't really say. But there was one I was surprised, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and this was a very at the day it was very highly acclaimed. A lot of people liked the performances of the actors, and yet the reason why this is on here is because the the author didn't like how it's portrayed, and he felt that Marilyn Monroe should have played the role. There was a whole lot of stuff about that, and I kind of say that's not really a reason to put it there, but okay. So this is their list here. Now, again, when it comes to uh, The Great Gatsby, um, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Fine, I understand. I definitely understand why the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It was a disaster right from the start. You get no arguments from me on that one. I did not think that was a great movie at all. Uh, so there you have it there. But there was something that really did bother me here. The Golden Compass made the list in that list, and The Watchmen. Now, let me start with The Watchmen. I'm kind of surprised The Watchmen was here because I don't, an actual novel versus the graphic novel, I don't consider that as the same. Yes, it's considered a graphic novel. It's considered someone's masterpiece work, and it is an art form within itself. So, anyone who says I'm a big complicator, calm down. I do. I do have a special segment called Comic Book 360. I do talk about comic books, so don't get it twisted. I actually think is a work of great fiction, a work of art, and a work of masterpiece to bring these characters to life on the big thing, on the big on a graphic novel form, or even just the comic form, and putting on the big screen is just is just as great to see it on the big screen, as well as just reading in the panel. However, with that being said, um, they talk about actual novels, actual books that was translated and didn't translate well to movies. This is a graphic novel, and I consider graphic. I put graphic novel differently because of one thing. What comic book adaptations is easier, much easier to go off the cuffs. You can there's so many reimaginings of that of a particular genre that you can actually recreate. What they did with Batman and Spider Man, you guys know what I'm talking about. Recreate a story arc and start fresh from there. You don't necessarily have to follow the story arc of the original source material, which is the comic book or the graphic novel, whatever you choose first. It'd be great if you can, because the fans would know what they're getting into, and they see it and they love it just for the fact that it's there. But it's not always the case, and we're seeing it with X Men, we're seeing it with Batman 3 times, we've seen it with Spider Man a couple of times, and so when I saw and yes, I did read the book, and I thought it was a masterpiece. The graphic novel is absolutely fantastic, but I didn't have a problem how they did The Watchmen either. Again, this is a matter of opinion. I thought The Watchmen, for what it's worth, they did what they could with the source material they have. It's not an easy source material to adapt, and again, I gotta stress this: it is not easy. So the stuff they did right, I thought they did it right. There's a lot of stuff they did wrong, but I thought they got some of the characters right. I thought Rorschach was played very well by Jackie Early. I thought he was. Al, you want to say he was born, fine, but I thought he did his purpose, and I thought Dr. Manhattan did his purpose as well. So I thought for what they were shooting for, I thought they did a good job. Now the CGI wasn't the greatest in the world, and some of the stuff they did, but with the sex scene and everything else, I get it. It wasn't bad music choice. I get it, but overall, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a good film. The only problem is I think this film was misrepresented as this, one of those typical action comic book films where they actually played out more of a drama, and that was actually kind of surprising. But I didn't have a problem with that. I enjoyed it. I like it. I understand it. That hey, from the very beginning, there was going to be a lot of stuff missing from this adaptation. And you know what? Despite despite the fact that you had no octopus there, and I like the fact they changed it around how what has happened. I thought the changes they did made fit the movie. To me, I wouldn't put it that on that list. Especially to me, out of all the lists, Watchmen was the most faithful, especially for the author, because I'm aware that the author do not like his work being translated to films. Uh, and I get it because some authors, Stephen King is one of those as well, have a certain pride of what they're trying to represent, and that's the whole thing about authors. Authors they can't let that go. And say this is how I want it to be done. I had this vision. What are you doing? Perfect case example, and I'll get that to that later. Is The Shining. Um, King did not like the way it was written. Neither was some of the fans. he bought back the rights. He made his own version of movies. Can we now ask ourselves which one had the better film, Kubrick or King's? I don't think there's no comparison. Cooper did a much better job with the changes he made versus with King, where he had forgotten the one rule: show not tell. I felt like he was doing an audio novel watching doing that movie. That's the problem with a lot of authors. They don't understand that what's great on paper will not translate well on the screen, and you have to make the changes to fit what is being said on the book. Yes, it's going to be changes. It's a real pain to see that changes, but you got to remember sometimes it is necessary for in order for that source material to work. And to me, what they did to the Watchmen was way better. It could have been worse, much worse. Trust me. I don't consider this as the worst adaptation in a graphic novel. You want to talk about worst adaptation of a graphic novel? That same author who did The Watchmen also did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Do anybody remember that movie? You gonna tell me that movie was better than The Watchmen? I don't think so. I don't. I seriously doubt, especially those who are die-hard League of Extraordinary Gentlemen fans, and they saw that movie and they couldn't believe what they saw. So again, this is something that I have to stress about this, and this is why I actually like this list for a lot of reasons because it really brings up that conversation about um, films and how they get their source material, and how sometimes the fans. I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes forget that what is in the book will never be the same as what it is in the big screen. Perfect case example. I did not read the Harry Potter books until after I saw the third movie. My uncle had given me the third Harry Potter book, not the first, not the second, but the third Harry Potter book to read, and I fell in love with the book instantly. But my Harry Potter's was the movies. I didn't see the big deal of Harry Potter. I didn't understand why people was lining up to buy a Harry Potter book. And when it was announced that they was making a movie, I said, whatever. What can I tell you? But it was a big deal. What attracted me to the film was the poster. I actually liked the teaser poster. You saw a bunch of kids on a boat going to this castle, which turned out to be a magic school. That was all I needed to see. It reminded me of Worst Witch. Yeah, I've seen some of those episodes, but I thought they had some kind of charm to it. And I said, okay, well, Lords of the Rings coming out. This is going to be the year of magic and sorcery. I might as well just take a look at it and say it is. It's worst case scenario. I won't like it. I would never mention it again. I fell in love with the movie instantly. This movie was very well done, more mature than I actually thought it would. Not no typical kids film, but it really did uh, fit a young adult genre, which I can admire and respect. Was he acting great? It was passable, but you got to remember these were kids still coming up, and you know what? They got better and better as the films went on. Then when I read the book, I was even more blown away how the book was. I was more blown away for what I was reading. Saying, how come they didn't put this in there? How come they left this out? I got caught into that books. I couldn't put them down once I started reading it, and that was when um, they came out with the Order of not the Order of Things, the Goblet of Fire, and I was like, I wish I hadn't read that book because now I'm going to have a problem. But separating um, the book to the movie, and when I finally saw Goblet of Fire, I'm gonna tell you right now, the book was okay, not my favorite, but I actually liked the movie better because the stuff they added on worked. The stuff they didn't add on, um, well, I can deal with that. Some of the stuff they just decided to gloss over, but the same, again, I was like kind of surprised because hey, the stuff they added with it actually made the film better than what I expected to be. And this is the person who said I didn't say I didn't like the book, but it was my least favorite of the series. It still is my least favorite of the series now. Then came Order of the Phoenix, and I couldn't wait for this one. I couldn't wait. I was sinking my teeth on this one because that's just when it really started to become more of an adult novel than anything else. This is where they made the big transaction. The words got more mature. The situation got darker. Um, the I really was in tune with the book. It took me only 2 days to finish the book. This was almost a Bible book where I almost had 1,000 pages plus. I didn't care. I read from Friday all the way to Sunday, and I basically completed that book. It was that deep for me. It was that much of a gripping story to me. So when this movie was announced, I could not wait. The reviews was great. It is the people were saying, this is going to be the best action-packed film. The one critic that did concern me a little bit was the critic saying that most of the characters were like cameos, but there was only one critic versus a whole bunch of people saying this is the film you're gonna enjoy. I can't wait. So I was pumped up. I was happy. I considered the movie of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix the worst of the entire movie series. It was boring. It had none of the charm of none of the atmosphere that the original novel had. It completely went 180, and it just for a PG-13, this was the softest PG-13 I have ever seen. I was very disappointed. And what saved this film for me was the fact they had a great actress who played Doris Umbridge, and you have what I considered my dream came true. Helen Bonham Carter playing Ballistic Lestrange, because I had her in one of my fantasy casting, saying if you're gonna get someone to play that evil witch, you have to have Helen Bonham Carter because she's the only one that can pull it off. And they got her, and I was like, yes. And I only wish there was more of her because she was very good in the scene. And but overall, this film was just a boring film. A lot of stuff they took out. A lot of stuff they basically didn't even they rechange. There were certain characters that was never mentioned at all, never seen in the entire series. It was just a big, in my opinion, mess. And when I finished seeing that film, I sat down and I was just basically just really upset. I had to stop myself and said, "Am I upset because the movie's bad, or am I upset because I saw the book and expected it to be the same as the book?" Um, I was at fault. I should have realized that I was hooked on the books more so than the movies. But I did, to be fair to the film, I watched it again. I went back to that film and I said, I'm going to watch this one more time. I'm going to see if I actually misjudged this poorly. Um, I recognize it's not going to be like the film. It will never be like sorry, it's not the book. It's not going to be like the book. Still, it's a bad movie, but at least I was less harsh than what I am because I came to realize that I was judging this movie based on what I read in the book, and I shouldn't have done that. But I still didn't like the movie, and for many reasons, it was just a boring film. I just couldn't believe how less suspenseful it was versus a film that I actually thought that was going to be less suspenseful, had more suspense than I actually give it credit for. Half Blood Prince was half good. Didn't surprisingly, I'm probably the only one who didn't really care too much about the Deathly Hollows book one. I honestly didn't think it should have been broken up into two parts, especially when they have done a good job editing down the other books that was just as long as the Deathly Hollow, but they did it in two parts. The second part really makes up for part one, and I thought overall the series was I consider to me, in my opinion, it was a success both critically and financially because the movie overall had a good rating from start to finish. With that being said, was I disappointed that some of the stuff was not mentioned or cut out? Yes. But again, this is something that I think people who are big on novels, who love reading books, have to accept that, hey, the book, no matter how good the book is, it will never be translated the same way as you think in movies. It's not possible. Look, James Bond was based on a novel, a series of novels from Ian Fleming's. And I got news for you. Uh, None of them follow Ian Fleming's vision. Either some of the ending was changed, some of the characters was changed, some of the scenario was changed. Something got changed. Sometimes you even realize the 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 movie based on a novel, it's not really based on a novel at all. It's just probably just a screenplay because Ian Fleming's didn't want certain books like The Spy Who Loved Me, which is more X-rated than I think people actually know. Um, but this is what happens. Sometimes these changes, as crazy as it may sound to a lot of people, as much as they it make them pull their hair out, which I have none anymore, we have to realize that hey, they're going to change it. Once you give them that permission, they can free to do whatever they want. Perfect example, I would say to like my old um, teacher, professor. She does poems. She sold a poem to become a play. She went there to see the play, being rehearsed, and she was amazed how much changes they have done to the certain particular characters. But she didn't complain. She didn't get mad. She understood that hey, they bought the rights to do this, and and this is very key. This is very important. When you give a right, when they pay you money, is now theirs to do what the hell they want. And if they feel that there's certain things that's not going to work in the book, they won't use it, or they will just change it around, or they will fit it to where they feel it will work best on screen. Now let's get back to a perfect example of The Shining. The Shining is considered one of Stanley Kubrick's greatest accomplishments. It's also considered a betrayal to a lot of people who read the books. Um, when I saw the movie, I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is a great movie. This is a great suspense. Jack Nicholson scared me, and he wasn't even the bad guy yet. That's how much he scared me. I was amazed on how Stephen King was angry. I mean, he was mad at how much he changed it to the point where he bought back the rights um, to the book, and he made his own film. I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not like that film at all, and not many people I've spoken to liked the film at all. Because what was the one thing that Stephen King does the best, even though it drives me nuts, is describe a lot of details. He went too much into detail. There was too much talking and not enough doing. With Kubrick, there was a lot of visionary stuff going on, a lot of stuff that was very clever, but most importantly, there was stuff happening. He let his actors tell the story instead of them just sitting there talking about stuff. CGI was bad in the King's version. The one thing I will praise him to is that he made that you see the particular character that was in the film go mad, and you can see it. Where you never really saw what Jack Nicholson. Like I said, Jack Nicholson, he looked a bad guy from the very beginning, and he scared the hell out of me. And it's like he really scared me once he finally made that turn over the loony bin's nest. It was just, it's very, very good acting, typical Jack Nicholson, but it was one of those iconic scenes that when you see it, it's like, oh my god, this guy's going crazy. Oh my god, this guy really going crazy. He was crazy already, but now he's really going mad. And Jack Nicholson pulled off perfectly. But what made that film more memorable is that he did make some changes, and those changes work. And to me, they were necessary changes. And we see that with the Stephen King when he wanted to try and be very almost dead center close to the book, and it just didn't work out. Sometimes you can't, especially with some of the stuff you're trying to present. You gotta make the change. You gotta, switch it up. Otherwise, it's gonna be one colossal mess. Um, Again, the James Bond series, I love the movie series, but I read some of the books, and I realized Bond is more colder than they actually presented him in the series. He didn't make too many jokes. In fact, he hardly made any jokes at all. He was a calculated killer, and they made him a lot less like that. In fact, they didn't start even doing that until a Timmy Dalton did because he was serious about being Bond. I mean, I think he was too serious. And B. Daniel Craig, which actually took what Timmy Dalton was doing and took it further, and that's something that is very very big. Books are wonderful. I love reading. I'm a writer myself. I love to read a good book. I read anything as long as I can actually follow it. It doesn't take me long to realize what I got something very big there because if I can visual it and it makes me want to turn to the next page, you got me. Um, I give kudos to a lot of authors. It is not easy being a writer. It's not easy at all. People think it's easy. Just write something down and boom, you got something done. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of good imagination, but most importantly, it takes time. And if you don't have time in your plate, can really be a motive killer. So I give very kudos to those authors, especially those who are not afraid to put their own personal experiences on ink. One of the greatest books that can always read is those that you can actually tell that a bit of the author is being portrayed through these characters. It's one of the reasons why Harry Potter is going to become a forever classic. Some of the other books that I've read, like Pollyanna, Sherlock Holmes, Interview with the Vampire, these all books are classic because you can see part of the author being telling a story, telling part of what she is, her personalities, her likes and dislikes through those pages. Look at the difference between a typical coffee novel and those and that novels and the novels that actually have that speaks volumes, and you understand why. So this is the big thing about that, and I think that's just why novels is so hard to get right in the screen. It's very very rare that you get a perfect adaptation. I mean, it's just not even with Macbeth and all the Shakespeare reimaginings. They're never going to be the same. They're never going to be exactly what it is. Sure, you may still have the dialogue, but you're not going to have that same vision that Shakespeare himself had because that was Shakespeare telling a story. You have somebody else telling a story, and no matter what happens, they're going to have their own vision as to how that story is being told. All right? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really all depends on the director and what they're going for. Now, as for the worst books, again, here are the books I would not put on this list. Golden Compass is one. Breakfast at Tiffany is another. Watchmen is another one. Those are the three I think that don't deserve this list. I do believe that How the Grinch Stole Christmas belongs there. Um, I will put a tossable Hours of Wonderland because I think that was a retelling of a story. Just they just took the name, so I can't really say. Great Gatsby didn't really care for it in the first place, so yeah, I definitely would have probably put it on there. But I will also go further here. If I gotta say, if my own list, I will put the following. I'll put The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. I would put definitely Tim Burton's How to Stole Christmas. Um, the League of Extraordinary. If I'm going to put a comic book graphic novel in there, if I want to be fair, I'll definitely put a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because I think that was just a horrible mess. Um, if I got to put a film, a shock someone with a classic novel, it will be Sounder. Love the book, darker than I ever thought I'd imagine, and they drowned it out. They just toned it down for a G-rated disappointment. I was bored off my mind. Didn't really care about the characters. They changed a lot of stuff that I was kind of surprised they did. And in the end, in the end, it turns out that they didn't really follow much of the original concept of the story, which bothered me is to this day. And that's when the teacher said, "Well, you got to understand they're not going to go by the novel." I said, "Then why make it?" But Sounder was one of those movies. Even when I realized that, hey, I can't compare the book to the movie, I still didn't like that movie. I think it's the worst adaptation they can possibly have. So there you have it, guys. Um, Village of the Dam, the vampire, one of the Vampire Chronicles that was made. Um, I would not. Uh, I would say read the book first if you're going to read it and you understand why I have put that on that list. Kind of surprisingly is that they put two books into one. For what I understand, they actually had the Vampire set, and you also had the Queen of the Dams. So did I say Village of the Dam earlier? Queen of the Dam. Keep in mind, I was up pretty much all night, um, doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of research on something. So uh, do forgive me if I do get mixed up with some things here. But Queen of the Dam, which was sadly, Aaliyah's last movie, which is kind of sad. She died way in her prime, but she had talent. Boy, did she did. But my God, it was wasted in this movie. It really was. Those are the films, those are the adaptations I would definitely put on there. I will put that on in a heartbeat. Again, I have no problem with putting the other two films, but I definitely put that in a heartbeat because I thought that they really didn't do no justice towards the Anne Rice novel. I thought the first Anne Rice movie was fine. I liked it. The first Anne Rice interview with a vampire, but this follow up was just what were did you bother even reading the stuff? I mean, did you know what was going on? You put two books in one. Never a good thing. Never a good thing. Another shocker. I'm gonna tell you right now. I would put Annie involved in this. I have not seen a true adaptation of Annie. I think Disney was the closest I'm going to get. I thought it was okay, but I'm sorry. I love Harold Gray's work. I don't know why they don't follow Harold Gray's material. They completely be changing that around. Um, Maybe because they want to make it more children friendly. Because let's be realistic here. If those who don't know, um, Harold Gray didn't make Annie for children. Little Orphan Annie was actually more geared towards adults than children. And if you read the older versions, you see where I'm coming from. Even this recently ended comic strip because they had still went on until about a few years ago when they ended it. It ended in a cliffhanger, which ticks me off because they never got no closure to that. Even though, from what I understand, Dick Tracy was gonna look for Annie. It was still dark. She was dodging bullets left and right. She had no time for singing. I mean, I'm being real. So again, that remake didn't help matters, but if you're gonna go with graphic novels or even comic strip of any kind, I gotta put that there as well. Um, I gotta say, the worst movie adaptation of James Bond is pretty much Casino Royale. Not even the TV version, because TV version at least there was some elements they kept that Ian Fleming was trying to do. I don't know what the hell they did with the spoof. I don't get it. I mean, how do you mess that up? You know it was bad when there's nine directors on a project. You know it's bad when actors start quitting. You know it's bad when you don't even have a very satisfying ending. It was horrible, and only one good thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I am going to be talking about that in an article soon. But let's be honest. When your movie consists of only one memorable thing that still outlasts you more than the film it came in with, you know you did something horribly wrong. It took 2.5 decades. No, let's count that again. Almost 3 decades for them to get Casino Royale right. Man, was this a hard film to get right. You would think it wouldn't be that issue considering it's the first Bond novel, but man, it took them a while to get it right. So I definitely would have put that there. Um, let's be realistic here. I'd never seen a good Alice Cross, even though I thought Morgan Freeman did a pretty good job of showing the more analytical Alice Cross. I really felt bad for Tyler Perry. He was trying so hard to go for a role that wasn't in his element, and they gave him a role which I honestly felt he fit the role, and they gave him a bad script. This is out of all of the Alice Cross books, this was like, wow, you guys really dropped the ball here. How is that possible? Uh, Cross should have been uh, a welcoming. was probably one of the greatest, still ongoing um, crime detectives in novel history. One thing I will say, I'm not a big fan of Patterson's work, but I do think he does a good job with the Alex Cross series. I think James Patton did a very good job with the Francis series. I think it's overstayed its welcome. I think it needs to end, but for the most part, he has really kept the story going in a way that it is pretty much the Black James Bond of novels now, and they can't get it right in the movies. Out of all the ones, this one should never have been written the way it was. I was hugely disappointed. So those are some of the film books I felt that was should be there. Added with the ones that I saw here, How to Win Skull Christmas. No, I can't put a one on that, but I definitely will put The Great Gatsby. Um, and that's how I feel about that. I think, and overall, I think no matter what it is, you got to accept the fact that, hey, you can't. There's no way they will actually have a perfect adaptation of our favorite novels. This is not possible. Even those that movies that we love, even the Hunger Games, they're going to change something. It's just the way it is. They're going to change something. I spent a good portion talking about this adaptation. I like to hear. I like to want to hear your opinion on that as well. Give me your absolute feeling on that. And now, something that everybody wanted me my honest opinion on. Don't know why, but the soccer situation, the FIFA, FIFA, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Let me see where how can I start this out. Why is everybody surprised by this? More so with the media. Why are you surprised? No, seriously, why are you surprised? I left my job at 5 o'clock about a few weeks ago when this thing broke out. I was tired, but I didn't want to go home right away because the moment I got some things to do, I decided to go to the diner in New Jersey before heading home. Um, One, I was exhausted, needed to replenish myself. I was, I I unload containers for a living. When the truck comes in, I unload it. Sometimes they keep account of what's in there, but that's what I do for a living, and it does well. One didn't go home right away. Went to the diner. They had the TV on with the news. Order my breakfast, order my juice, sat down, and no sooner than I started eating my grits that I saw that there was a raid, and I said, "Oh, there's a raid going on." Then I saw FIFA's name, and I said, "Nah, I didn't see that because that's a stock organization." But no, that was not what happened. It was raiding, arresting people, and they found out that they had 26 counts of fraud, bribery, corruption, and I started laughing. People in the dining room just looked at me. I just started laughing because I'm saying, "What took you guys so long? We knew about this for years. They've talked about this during the last World Cup. There's nothing new you're saying. This is nothing that shocking me or even people from the soccer world. If you go to YouTube right now and through the most top 10 corrupt companies in the world, FIFA is going to be there. So why is this now a big deal now? Well, according to reports saying that there was a whistleblower who blew the top on everything. And I was like, okay, well, that's probably one of the reasons they was waiting for somebody to come forward. Fine, but still, eh, there was enough sign to tell you that this organization was corrupted from the very beginning. I shouldn't even have to even bring this up because those who follow soccer royally have seen this. They seen it. It was right there, staring them in the face. I don't know how they missed it, but I didn't. Neither did a lot of people who was following uh, this sport. So to me, it was like you ain't telling me nothing new, pal. What did caught my attention is they was making all these arrests. It was doing all this, this investigation. It was, bringing people in, and yet here's this guy who was the president, who you see tell that he was corrupted, wasn't being touched. A matter of fact, he came on. I made a statement saying what has happened. This was a disgrace towards the sport. and shamed um, and shame soccer. Or technically shame your organization because I'm pretty sure that the English Premier League, along with Major League Soccer, isn't really feeling the effects of what FIFA did. I'm pretty sure of that. But here he is. I'm looking at them, and yeah, I'm hearing, to my surprise, and just basically shaking my head in just disbelief and stupidity and how people could actually think this is a good idea. He was reelected. So I'm like, so let me get it straight. You guys are going after everybody else, but you're not going after the big fish. That makes no sense to me. And I said, you might as well not even be reported because if you're not going to take it serious enough to go after the man who's in charge, the man who's been in charge for a while, and probably should know more than what's going on, something's wrong. But apparently, this thing gets interesting from here. He resigned after just a few days of getting reelected. And now, approximately 24 hours ago, he's reconsidering of coming back to run FIFA. Do you see the stupidity that's going on with this? And the only thing I can say about this, the only thing I can possibly say about this is that if this investigation goes on and nothing comes out of it, why did you even bother making an investigation to begin with? That's the only thing I can say about it. Especially if you're not going after the main person, which everybody obviously knows is probably corrupted anyway. Why would you go after him? I'm still curious of why people thought it was a good idea to even re-elect him with all the situation is. So I'm very, very curious in how this is going to play out. And keep in mind, nothing came upon it. He hasn't been charged for anything. I understand, but to me, just like Roger Goodell, there's a lot of stuff that the FIFA has done. They seem to turn a blind eye on a lot of unethical stuff that they've done. And I always say this: when it comes to entities like this who makes billions of dollars, they are not going to police themselves, especially if it prevents them from making money. They took money under the table. I'm basically promising, oh, we're gonna have this there, we're gonna have the World Cup there. They took money on the table. You can't get any more corrupt than that. Okay, but again, there was money involved. They're not going to police themselves and say, no, we can't do that. They're gonna say, well, we need the money. This is where corruption comes in. So I don't know what's going to happen with the boss here. I honestly don't think that he should have anything to do with running the world's biggest organization at all. But again, it only depends on how much this is going to be pushed. Now there has been talk that Putin is not too happy with the way it's going. He feels this has a lot of American influence and nothing else. There's also talk about being one of the countries may be stripped of the World Cup. We do know that FIFA may not be involved of the other World Cup that's coming in. So there's a whole lot of stuff being thrown out there. But the reality is, unless there is something big that's going to shut this thing down, not FIFA, but the whole entire organization's body, from the president all the way down, then to me, this is just a waste of time because you're not taking it seriously. And I want them to take it seriously. I really do, because you can't keep having this, especially a sport who is making billions of dollars. It's a multi-billion-dollar company we're talking about here. It's just as powerful as the NFL. So the fact that this is going on, really, it doesn't surprise me. I'm laughing at it because, again, many people saw it. What took you so long? And I'm kind of be laughing again when I hear two things: either all of them gets charged, and the whole thing gets blown up, or when the media, who tend to do this other times, don't mention it again. Next thing you know, it gets swept on the rug and same old business as usual. That can also happen as well. Ah, and people wonder why I said that corporations like this cannot police themselves. They don't know how. Now on to the final thing because actually I'm getting exhausted just by talking. Like I said, I was up all night doing stuff. So do forgive me again. I'm very much out of it right now, almost out of it. But I do have to talk about a movie they didn't even realize was coming out. I saw the poster in an independent theater, kind of surprising. And you just say they're not getting very good reviews. Now, sorry about that. Now, I want to point out something here, especially with me who does reviewing as well. Uh, Reviewing is an opinionated um, thing. Sometimes reviews doesn't really be, doesn't really betray what the movie is. I understand that people don't like review. Hey, listen, I try to be fair in my reviews. I keep it 50-50. If I don't like it, I like to tell you why. I'm not going to be elegant about it. I'm just going to tell you what I feel about the film. I will never say, don't watch this film. It's not my place to tell you what you should and shouldn't watch. Because what I didn't like, you may like. The same with Entourage. Entourage do not have a very good rating right now. It's mixed to negative. All right. So basically, it's tinking around that 49, 40 something spot. The actors took it very personally that a lot of the critics have saying not so good things about the movie, saying they're a bunch of old guys, even though some of the critics who reviewed this film are young. And needless to say, they actually went on a rampage on an interview, no less, on CNN, talk about how the audience gave it a plus and everything else. Look, the audience taste in films is not the same as a reviewer slash movie critic. Okay, um, they are looking at some. They are when they watch the film, they're going to be entertained, they're going to have fun, and if it sees is a good film to them. If it don't, they're gonna let you know on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter. So I think the actors, even though I can understand their point, they right that there's some of them are old and some of them are some of these reviewers don't view the film the same way. I think they handled it a little bit wrong too, because they were very rude about it. They made it very clear that they don't care what they think, and I think they shouldn't care what they think. But I think that going on an interview bashing every critic, to me, it's not a very good move from for my part. Look, I'm not a fan of Entourage. I couldn't get into it, but I know it has a fan base, and the fan base is going to see that film, and that's fine. That's great. Enjoy your movie, but don't be snobbish about it because it's actually turned to be the wrong thing. I've seen many stores try to do this, and didn't make many of the viewers happy, nor the moviegoers they happy. So I'm just saying that understand you know because some of the stars have said it. Um, they're going to say what they want to say. Some of them are going to do say it get hit. Some others are going to keep it real and genuine. To me, just promote the film. People have seen the film. It may not break 100 million, or it may break 100 million, depending on ugh, all the ticket revenues total. But to me, if you're gonna be against the street, just do it in a more polite way. I thought that was kind of a snobbish thing to do. Again, not a fan of big Entourage. I understand a lot of people like it. I was surprised they didn't make the movie, but then again, they made Sex of the City, so I shouldn't have been surprised. And like I said, it's just a mixed bag. But to me, you can't, the reviewers, the critics get paid to do it is going to have a different perspective than those who are just going out and trying to have a good time and watch a movie. That's it. So their way of reviewing it is not going to be the same as the critic view, and nor should it be. You know, they're not like I said. Some of the films are not meant to be educational, real etiquette speaking films. They're meant to be what they are meant to be. A film that's going to entertain you for 2 hours, for 1.5 to 2 hours, and basically give you a chance to eat extra, give you excuse to eat extra popcorn, drink a couple of sodas, and Hawthorne and Twizzlers. So to me, there are films that are meant for the etiquette, speaking that some of these critics are saying, but there are other films that say, you know what, throw that out, just leave that alone, just watch the film and enjoy the film because that's what this is. This is the film for people to have. That's why we have popcorn films. Enjoy this film. So, and again, this is not the TV show. This is the movie version. The movie is going to have a much different feel than that. That's all I got to say right now, guys. I wish I can do it more, but again, my partner's not here. So hopefully she'll be back next week. Um, it's at our usual time. Sorry that if I zoned out a little bit, but again, I am doing this live, and I'm extremely tired. I did a lot of stuff today, uh, a lot more than I should have. But again, it goes with the territory. Something has to be done. It must be done, and I have a deadline to get it done. So, work is work. But in any case, if you guys do have a top 10 list of the best books you read, but they turn out to be worse movies when you see it, please put it in the comments. Because I am curious. Because, like I said, this is kind of the one of the lists that I really don't see, and I'm actually glad I see. Even though I don't go agree with everything on the list, I'm kind of glad to see because it got me thinking about some of the movies that I've seen that were based on books that I just felt that the book was way better than the movie, and the movie was pretty much bad. So I am kind of curious of what you guys have, what your list is. Please put it on the comment section. It could be fun. But until next time, until we return with Johnson, this is J77 saying, take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.